Previous talk show, we had Dr. John on, and we talked about understanding cancer, the basics, why it happens, how it happens, what makes people more susceptible to it. In this next few, let's say 20, 25 minutes, we're going to be talking about specific things that can be done while you're receiving your treatment from your oncologist or your healthcare provider if you happen to have cancer. And by the way, it's not a big deal. Cancer is not a big deal. We should stop making it seem like it's just this big bad wolf that's going to huff and puff and blow your house down no matter what you do. It's not a big deal. There's so many stories all over the world of people and healthcare professionals who have taken control and done the right things, taken the right steps, and overcome cancer. Yes, cancer can be fatal. Yes, it's still one of the biggest killers all over the world. And yes, it is even worse among black people. It's more prevalent, and that means it occurs more often than among blacks and whites. It starts earlier. For some reason, it starts earlier. It is more aggressive. It spreads more rapidly. Black patients, as compared to white patients, are more likely to die from the disease. Their cancer, for some reason, it seems to be less responsive to treatment than whites are. And one reason for that, I think, obviously, is that most research and most studies have been done on white people. So they've not really done as much on black people to see how the black biochemistry and physiology works. There's obviously also greater risk of a relapse, especially if you have breast cancer, you've received treatment, and then you now had a baby afterwards. Not to scare you, but that's just the fact. And there's so many other statistics that they have. Black men have the highest death rate of any ethnic group in the U.S. And I could go on. They'll show some of it on the screen, some of it you can see on our websites. Bottom line is that if you have cancer or you suspect you have cancer, you need to go and get all the help you can get. You go to the oncologist. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't have access to an oncologist, you go to see a doctor who knows what they're doing. And you need to go over and beyond that, because it's not just about the doctor, it's about you. You've got to throw everything at it. Your spirit, your mind, your body. Have the right nutrition, have the right exercise. If you have a good job, stay at your work. Don't start feeling sorry for yourself. You can overcome it if you do the right things. And if you remember, we talk about the laws of life, where things like your words, your thoughts, your emotions, the food you eat, your relationships, the quality of your relationships with others, all play a huge role in your survival or otherwise against cancer. So in the next segment, Dr. Jonah and I are going to go into the specifics, like I said, so that you can really have a better concept of what it takes to break cancer. See you soon. All right, welcome back. Now, we have very little time, and I want to get as much out of our guest as possible. If you remember, when he was on, Dr. John, he is the founder and director of In-Country Med Care Limited. It's an integrative medical center that focuses on all sorts of things, right, Doc?
Yeah, exactly. Sure, you're right.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks again for having me. It's usually a pleasure.
Yes, and we've had some really interesting discussions, and I know cancer is just one of the things we'll be talking about, but looking to the future, we're going to be talking about other things like diabetes, inflammation, all those things that you and I are excited about.
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about an integrative approach to cancer. But I know we want to say a little bit about prevention, but also treatment as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Dev. Let me use this opportunity to really explain what integrative medicine actually means. A lot of people, there's so much confusion there. Those who are on the other side of it will call it complementary or alternative medicine. But integrative medicine is very different from any of this. Integrative medicine actually requires a combined approach. You're looking at conventional. Like, for example, we work with, consultants of different specialties, even oncologists, we talk about cardiologists, we talk about gastroenterologists, and all of them, we work as a team. We have to seek their own perspective before we go ahead to give integrative approaches. So let's focus on cancer, since the story today is actually on cancer. You say cancer is a multifactorial, multi-system failure of the body. That means a lot. It is nebulous and complex and convoluted, if you want to talk about that.
True.
So it's not a simple thing where you think you can just give one approach and then it is all over. By the time somebody comes down with cancer, it has taken about 10 to 15 years before you see the clinical manifestation. So how do you think just with one approach you will go? The body has gone wacky, the pH has gone bad, the body is accumulated with a lot of toxins. And as I always give this example, if you want to go into a clean room, the room must be clean before you can't go into a dirty room, or you throw some dirt into dustbin and then you want to come and then throw gold in it. You don't do that. So integrative approach look at different modalities. Take for example, integrative approach for managing cancer involves detoxification. The number one thing I want to talk about is actually the diet. Remember, cancer cells feed mainly on sugar. So if the cancer patient is taking food or high carbohydrate diet, you are wrong in that way. However, let me explain this. In cases of cachexia, we try to give them as much as we can so that they will reverse the cachexia before introducing other modalities.
Cachexia is
cachexia
weight loss.
Yes, weight loss of extreme percentage.
Yeah.
Yes. So how do you do detox? There are several ways of doing detoxification, but one of those that we focus on is what we use coffee enema, which is a retention enema. Apart from the immediate clearance of the bulk or the chunk in the colon, it also goes directly to the liver and then open up the hepatic bile duct and liberates the toxin from the body. In case of cancer, that the cancer cells are self-destructing. They are destroying the body cells, even the normal cells. So there are a lot of toxins in there. Take for example, cancer patients with their detox for coffee enema, we do coffee enema 4 to 6 times a day for them.
Wow.
Somebody will say, oh, what, that is too much. No, it is not too much. And I'm telling you, within 2 weeks of such heavy detoxification, you start seeing improvement. Even the pain will start going down.
Real quick, enema is a way of removing of the waste from the colon.
Yes, from the colon.
And
but
also
this
detoxifying.
particular one, you use a particular coffee that is organic, and then goes directly to the liver too. Detoxifies the liver.
Okay, keep going, sir.
So then that is detox. I've talked about the diet. The diet must be changed. In the typical sense, cancer patients should be on high protein diet. Protein especially of vegetable origin. As I say. Then you look at other components such as spirituality, the emotional support. Then there are new modalities that we use, including our Vitadox, which I talked about earlier. Then we use things like ozone. Ozone is really great. Ozone is actually very, very effective in stimulating the immune system, as well as direct cytotoxicity. That's the killing of the cancer cells. And then it has it is also anti-inflammatory. It is also antioxidant. So and then we use things like vitamin C in very high doses. Somebody may ask, why do you use vitamin C? If you look at the structure of vitamin C and that of glucose, which is the main food for cancer cells, is very similar. So when you give high doses of vitamin C, the cancer cells get deceived and then they take the vitamin C and get starved of glucose. And that's how we selectively kill cancer cells. You have other things like B17. The B17 contains a cyano group, which is a cyanide group that actually also goes in to kill cancer cells. Then we have so many other amino acids that we give. In general, part of our treatment approach or management approach is supportive nutritional therapy. And the best way we do it is through intravenous nutrition, support. We give this the component, that's what we call vitality protocol that we give intravenously, and then it's a combination of many micronutrients, including B6, B5, and then magnesium, sulfate, and then the rest of them. So we do quite a number.
That's a lot. So all this is where you bring the integrative approach. One of the things too, and that's really impressive, and I'm hoping people can actually contact and find out more about you from your office. And but one of the things that I also am very, very keen on is what can someone who does not have access to someone like you or to your center do? Most people with cancer will not have access to an oncologist in Nigeria, for instance, or even an integrative medical practitioner. That's the sad reality. So we also want to know because I believe that anything that anybody who has cancer has and is receiving treatment for has to also be able to have something that they can get from you or from anyone else that they can take on their own while they're receiving treatment.
Yes. Let me just make a quick reference to one of the most brilliant scientists on his work on, he thanks those of you who are used to watching some of this TED, the TED, that is Dr. Hui. Dr. Hui has covered comprehensively on a video, what is the, can we eat to cure cancer? That he has mentioned, there are a number of, food or vegetables that have been known to contain anti-angiogenic, compounds. Remember, we talk about angiogenesis as helping the spread of, cancer.
Yes.
Foods such as, tomatoes, they're great. They contain lycopene. Lycopene contains anti-angiogenic, factors.
I see.
Then there are several other like our garlic and then our ginger, and then all of them, they contain angiogenic, factors that when you eat, they can really help you, prevent or even manage cancer depending on the dose.
Fantastic. So you need to know about that too. Now, folks, in the next segment, we're going to be talking about a specific, and he's already alluded to it, a specific intervention that will really help in your fight against cancer. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Now, we've been talking about cancer, obviously. Supportive care, preventive care, what you need to do while you're receiving treatment from your oncologist or doctor or whomever. Now, Dr. John and I have been talking about a very, very important, shall we say, breakthrough that's apparently is being used in several places. It's received NAFDAC approval. It's being used in ABU Teaching Hospital. As a matter of fact, the chief medical director, I saw a video of the chief medical director coming to testify in the Federal Ministry of Health about its efficacy. And that's fantastic. It's being used in the US. It's being, in fact, the equivalent of NAFDAC and FDA in China has approved this particular intervention. So I think it would be really, really good for you to pay close attention, because someone you know that you love, that is dear to you, might really, really need it. So, Doc.
Yes.
Thank you again. This has been really lots of really good information. Tell us about this breakthrough.
Well, Dr. Dev, thanks once again for having me. The important intervention is a product known as Vitados CH30. Vitados is actually produced in the small island of, Cuba, and from scorpion, venom. I want to talk about scorpion. It's just any type of scorpion, as God has.
Did you say scorpion? As
Scorpion venom.
Oh, wow.
And this particular species is only found in the island of Cuba.
Okay.
It has been researched for over 20 years and finally approved, and that's why they launch it into the market. Those of you who are familiar with the testing of, drug, it has gone through all those various, stages. So Vitados is actually a novel product in the sense that it selectively kills only the cancer cells, unlike the other conventional products or drugs or chemo that we have. Chemo, for one, is really great, but unfortunately it kills both the Enema and the cancer cells.
Talking about chemotherapy.
Yeah,
now.
chemotherapy, since its own drawbacks. But it is a fantastic product. At least it has brought us this far. So what are the other properties of Vitados that has actually made it a novel product, or so much outstanding that all over the world now is being used, including the United States? Vitados has anti-inflammatory properties. These are properties that are associated with any disease. And in case of cancer in particular, inflammation is very high, very much exacerbated.
Yeah.
Then cancer patients, as we all know, are in pain, excruciating pain. Most of the cancer patients, that is one of the biggest pain. The Vitados has analgesic, properties. That is to say that it has against pain. It ameliorates, the pain. Then Vitados, as I said, directly kills, the cancer cells. I'll go into a little bit of the mechanisms of how it does that. And Vitados also restores appetite in cancer patients. That is also very important. Most of the cancer patients, we all know, they lose a lot of weight because of the inflammation and other things going on in the body.
The effects,
eat very well.
The effects of the drug itself,
the effect of the drug.
Effects of the cancer producing chemicals that make the patient not eat very well. So you're saying this helps to improve the appetite?
Yes.
I mean, that's important, because patients, for you to be able to withstand treatment and for you to even be able to withstand the cancer, you need to be having the right kind of nutrients. You need to be well nourished. In other words, and that's almost impossible when you're undergoing treatment and you're going through cancer. So, please.
Yeah. So, how does it actually kill, the cancer cells alone? Through research, they isolated what you call the pharmacologically active ingredients. These are 5 peptides, very small peptides. The size is between 4 to 74 kilodaltons. And the smallest of the peptides, that is peptide number 5, is the one that selectively blocks the ion channels of cancer cells. And as we said last time, cancer cells have the ability of not dying the natural cell death, which they call apoptosis. But when this Vitados selectively blocks the cancer cells, the ion channels of cancer cells, is able to induce a natural cell death in the cancer cells, known as apoptosis.
That's huge. So is there somewhere online that people can look at to validate? Because I'm sure many people watching, especially doctors, will say, well, that sounds too good to be true and doesn't seem right. Is there somewhere they can validate this information?
Fantastic. Just Google Vitados selectivity killing of cancer cells video. That video is on the internet. You can see it Vitados selectively killing only the cancer cells, and the normal cells are preserved.
Fantastic. You mentioned apoptosis. That's key, because when it comes to cancer cells escape the normal apoptotic mechanism. And by apoptosis, it simply means programmed cell death. The cell destroys itself. If there's a defect that cannot be fixed, the cell on its own destroys itself. But we know that with cancer, that mechanism is off. So it somehow escapes apoptosis, and therefore it continues to multiply in that defective state, and therefore infects other cells either nearby or somewhere else in the body. So that's huge.
Yes. And let's not go into that other details more, but before maybe we even proceed, the good news is that Vitados is highly affordable compared to other products like chemo. It costs barely about $2,000, naira a day. That is the cost of, treating. A 30 ml bottle is able to take you to up to, 25 days. And so if you look at that and calculate it, it is less than $2,000, 2,000 naira, a day.
Interesting.
That's the cost.
And how long do they have to use this for?
Yeah, so the question of the duration, depending at what stage of the disease individuals are. And then it depends on the body's ability, to respond and then react. But on average basis, we put it that by the time you use Vitados for 60 to 90 days, you will see significant improvement.
Significant improvement. Of course, we can't say cure or resolution, but improvement that's good enough.
Yes.
Another question someone might have is, can they take Vitados while undergoing standard chemotherapy? Is there a contradiction?
Fantastic question there. Fantastic. Honestly, if I may quote ABU, one of the reasons why ABU accepted after with this series of scientific presentation, why they ultimately agreed to use it, is that when they got to know that it can be used in combination with conventional therapy. Take, for example, in case of chemotherapy, if you combine Vitados with chemo, you use smaller doses of, chemo, and it will affect, it will achieve a higher or better results with less side effects. The problem with chemo is it is actually used in, high doses. So take, for example, if you combine chemo with Vitados, you use maybe just half or just 1/4 of the chemo, and it will still give you good results. So Vitados can be used in combination with conventional treatment.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I would really love to see is some kind of validation from ABU, since ABU has been the number one. Do they have any documentation that we or someone actually talking about?
Certainly, as you mentioned earlier, that the Ministry of that's the Federal Ministry of Health invited the then CMD to come and then testified. He did testify, and that is actually on video. And the oncology department is actually documenting what they have actually seen with this. We were also had the opportunity of presenting Vitados on the directives of the Federal Ministry of Health at the Medical Research Center in Yaba. And, yes, we presented some of the data there.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Is there any way we can access some of this data?
It is public information. If we actually demand or request from ABU, or I have a copy of the presentation that ABU made in Yaba.
Fantastic. Maybe what we can do is we can actually put it on our website, so that if people need to know more about it, they can easily access it, because everybody knows our website, I hope.
Sure, no problem.
All right. Well, sir, thank you so much. This has been really, really important stuff. Remember, Nigerians and black people are particularly prone to cancer and to dying from it, from being diagnosed very early, and it's much more aggressive. That is what is known across the board, whether you're in the US or in Canada or South Africa or in the UK. Black people are more susceptible. So everything, like we said at the beginning, you've got to throw everything at it. You've got to attack it with your spirit, attack it with your mind, attack it with your body, get all the professional help you can get. Because it's not the kind of thing you just leave to chance or just say, I'll pray about it and God will take care of the rest. You've got to take it seriously. You've got to, and don't forget about God. Don't forget about prayer and worship. All that is very, very important. In fact, as a matter of fact, the stronger you are spiritually, the better this thing works for you.
That's right.
So there's a lot to be said about cancer, but the bottom line is there is a solution. You can escape it. You can overcome it. There is nothing special about cancer.
That's right.
You can overcome it. So, sir, thank you so much again.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
Wonderful information.
And I'm happy to be part of your combined, efforts and keep up with the good work.
I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.